Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. I'm your host, Wesley, and of course, I am joined by my co-host,
Rebekah.
And today we're talking about Survivor 47 or 40 Several, the premiere episode. You know, we're number 2 podcast on the charts, but number 1 podcast in your hearts, Rebekah. That's the theme for this season.
That's an incredible tagline. I love that.
That's the theme for the season. We don't get mentioned on Survivor like Rob as a podcast. By the way, that was huge to even hear them get acknowledged.
That was crazy.
Yeah. We're not going to get that mention unless Rebekah gets on the show. So we're number 2 on the charts, but number 1 in your hearts. That's what we say. But yeah, that was pretty awesome that they even got a shout out like that. Just a few quick things before we get, diving deep into the 2-hour premiere of Survivor 40 Several. Mary will be on tomorrow's Winner Analysis podcast. That's the schedule this season, just like last season. It's just the way things worked out. Rebekah went to, which of course I'm speaking for Rebekah, but Rebekah went to the Survivor Beach Drop event this past weekend. We did a podcast about it a couple days ago. Check that out here on our YouTube channel.
That was a crazy experience, honestly.
She did meet Q.
I did. It would have been a big mistake not to.
Big mistake.
Yeah. No, it would have been a big mistake not to.
Not to, yeah. Well, we have a new section to this podcast this season, which of course we'll talk about later, which is about our fantasy team, because we have a fantasy league, which if you're listening to this at this point and you're not in the league, you did miss the first week, but you can join anytime. We'll talk about that more about that later. But yeah.
Last season, I think I don't know if I didn't sign up at first or I just forgot to vote for people or whatever. But even still, once I started doing it, I was doing really well, even after missing a couple episodes. Yeah. So
I was middle of the pack at the merge, and then I ended up at the top by the end. So it is not life or death missing a week, that's for sure. But anyways, we'll talk about that later because I want to hear about who you picked as your winner pick on there. I'll talk about mine. But of course we have that was when we had no information. Now we have information. A lot of information, I feel like, especially. So we'll have our own winner analysis this episode. And of course, the only thing I think we're not going to do this week is TV ratings, because how can I? It just aired.
I mean, you could make something up, I guess.
Make something up. That is true.
You have a podcast. Just say it with confidence and people will believe you.
I didn't hear that on tonight's. Is that what they said on tonight's episode? Did John or Aycha say that? I don't think I heard anybody say that. Of course, Sam is also he doesn't, I don't know if it's a podcast, but he's a reporter and he does it online.
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
This was the season of podcasters.
Yes, it absolutely is.
I feel like you should have been on this season.
This is not no, I don't want to be a season of podcasters. I want to be the only podcaster, and I'm not going to tell anybody that. If Teeny were to recognize me, I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Feel like I've never heard of a Wesley in my entire life.
Deny everything. Who's Wesley? That's not me.
Yeah.
My name is Wesley with a T, like in The Princess Bride, and that will definitely work. Top tier plan.
Yes.
All right. Well, we start the episode off, and everyone's on the same boat, which unusual. Usually, it's on 3 separate boats, but it was a nice change for my eyes. But also, it's the same idea. At the end of the day, I mean, let's all go to the beach. And then we have kind of a fake trickaroo when Jeff does walk them over to the challenge, but I don't know. It's new.
Yeah.
It's it's a whole thing. But anyways, let's get into it because there's other stuff before we get to the reward challenge, that first challenge. Rebekah, what do you think about, okay, so we saw 3 people get pictures in the beginning. I'm going to ask you, do you think does any of these qualify as backstory? So I'll walk through them one by one. You tell me.
That's a great question. I was thinking about this. I think some of them do, but yes.
All right.
You want to go through them?
I went back and I double checked real quick. So Sam calls himself a wolf in wolf's clothing. Gets a couple pictures.
Iconic.
Is that a backstory, a proper backstory?
I don't think I don't think it counts as a sob story.
An emotional story.
Yes. Even though there were photos, I don't think it counts as a sob story because there's nothing sad.
No. I don't think that qualifies. It has pictures, but Charlie in 46, I just don't think it counts because I think he had pictures in the first episode too, but it wasn't a sob story, an emotional story. So same, I don't agree. I agree that Sam's doesn't count. All right. Aycha then gets one where she says she doesn't do anything in life unless she knows she's going to succeed. And then she says, people don't think I'm going to hurt a fly, but I have a fly spotter behind my back. Which, by the way, I feel like every season we get one person who says something. I don't want to say stupid, something silly like this where it's like, oh, they don't know I have a knife behind my back. Like, is this?
Yeah.
I feel like this is the 7th rendition of that I've seen. So, anyways, is that a proper backstory?
Yeah, I don't think that counts as a sob story.
Same.
And also, yeah, I think it's just like a fun, like cutesy.
Get to know you.
I do think she knows. I mean, obviously, as someone who like analyzes this show, she knows what to say to get screen time, and that's what that felt like to me.
Oh, definitely. You want to say even the cliches to get on TV.
Yeah, you want to say something cutesy, like the wolf in wolf's clothing, like that counts too. Like, yeah, 100%.
I mean, he literally.
So, no, it does not count as a sob story.
Yeah, because he was basically calling out. I don't know if anyone said there are sheep in wolf's clothing on Survivor in the past few seasons, but we do know. We have the lion turning into a lamb, or sorry, the lamb turning into a lion, which is a sheep in a lion's. I mean, like from Aycha from 41. So pretty dang close.
We also had the alligabler.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see him until he's eating you or whatever that.
There was other ones, but I'm just thinking more specifically, did anyone say there were sheep in wolf's clothing? The closest we got was a lamb dressed as a lion. So, which is 41. All right. And then Kyle said he was in foster care for 5 years and he was in 26 homes until he moved out. So my assumption is that Kyle went to foster care at like 12 or 13 and then got out at 18. So he was in 26 homes in 5 years, meaning that he was having a very troubled teenager hood. That's not the right word, but he was he clearly was not. Like things were not going well for 5 years. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Foster care. I mean, even if you stayed in one home, I feel like foster care is just like, it ain't going well. You know, like your parents done screwed up enough for you to have to go into foster care, which really sucks. It's not even your fault. That to me is an emotional story. I don't know if he's gonna get another one later, but like at least his had me going, oh, well, there's definitely emotion behind that. That's not just I'm gonna dominate this game. His was not that.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree because I think that this counts as a sob story because it's very like personable. Like I as the audience watch that and I'm like, oh, I feel for him. You know, I maybe even if I don't like necessarily relate with that specific circumstance, I relate with how he's feeling. And it was like, I was kind of surprised that was so early in the episode. It really caught me off guard. Because then we like hardly heard from Kyle in the rest of the episode. But yeah, he has a sob story. Yeah, I think that counts.
Blue Tribe seems okay at the moment. It's really just Gabe got all the screen time, frankly.
Yes.
Gabe got all the Blue Tribe screen time. Everybody else really didn't get much. Sue got a little bit, but yeah, we'll go through that. All right, so we then get Annika saying she might get a little evil, though I don't think she got any pictures with hers, nor would I even qualify that for a sob story if she did have pictures, because saying you're going to be a little bit evil is quite the opposite of what Survivor uses for sob stories in the new era. Just making sure there was no pictures there. Did you see anything? Just double checking.
I don't recall, and I didn't write it down, but I don't think she did.
Yeah. All right, so then we go to the mat, and Jeff acknowledges there are cameras there, and that which I mean, to be fair, he's talked literally into the camera, so it's not the first time, but it's always interesting when he's like, all right, like I know you're not gonna literally die out here, because that's not the tone the earlier seasons had. The earlier seasons were like, you could die out here. Which
you might die.
Any rational person would go, yeah, but it's a TV show, like medical will step in and save the day. Like if anybody's literally, like we've seen it a couple times, people actually have been on the verge of death. If like there's no medical, like that would have happened. In this case, just like, yeah, but like, you know, he's like, there's cameras here. So,
and you know, it was interesting when he did like acknowledge the cameras. I was thinking like, I was trying to think the last time that he's done that. It felt like 41 to me, like the opening when they came back after the break.
He did the same thing in 42 though, where he talked directly to the camera. I think he did it less frequently because there was definitely like backlash.
When it's like a proper fourth wall break when he's like, this is the crew, this is the camera, you know, that sort of thing. That's what that reminded me of.
Him acknowledging the crew may have last happened in 41. I cannot dispute that off the top of my head, but for sure, he's definitely. I feel like it's weird
to like try and reference 41 because like I don't know if that was anybody's favorite season. Could be wrong.
You know, it's funny. I get comments. People are like 41 is better than Where's a War, but then when I do the now the third annual season ranking, just posted that a few weeks ago here on YouTube. Not a single person put that as their favorite season, but so many people put Winners of War as their favorite. So I'm like, people are just talking about their butts, because if truly there was a group of people that thought 41 is better than 40, then surely somebody out of thousands of people, and I do mean thousands, would have put that was their favorite season, but zero. So I'm like, bunch of liars. Go play Survivor.
Yeah.
All right. So we learned that the blue tribe is Tuku. I hope I'm saying these right. Tuku. Red is Lavo and yellow is Gata. At this point, I mean, all I see is Bello, Reba, and Lulu.
Yes. Yes, 100%. I'm so glad you said that. I couldn't
see yellow and not see Lulu. I mean, it's just like, the colors and everything's just so similar to 45 that I'm like, man, just like a green tribe instead of like a yellow tribe here would have made me not think of 45. It's just that and I think 43 are the same colors too, but I don't know why 45 stuck in my head. Even though you and I have podcast both seasons of the like.
It's also, I feel like the Gata tribe is like, it's not quite as much of a hot mess as Lulu was, but it is like a little bit of a hot mess. It's similar vibes. I will say similar vibes.
It's just it's so hard not to think of Bello, Reba, and Lulu. Like they really needed to.
Yeah.
I mean, and these are all all these 4-letter names. I don't know. There's just like, could we not got Green Tribe? Also, by the way, for those who may have noticed at the very beginning, picture of me and Rebekah, right? We update that we've been doing that since 45, so not very long, but we got the buffs well in advance of 45. Like, I don't know, 2 weeks before 45 started, I want to say. 46, I remember Rebekah, you, me, and Mary got our buffs maybe like 2 days before 46 started. It was cutting it close.
That was cutting it close, yeah.
This season, if you go on the website, it says nothing shipping out to like October 15th or something like that.
That's crazy.
And I went and checked, and that's like mergatory. I'm like, by then, the pre-merge is done. What was the point of buying these buffs? Because I already bought them. I think they're already paid for. I mean, I'm going to get them anyways. Yeah. But it's like I'm using this old picture where I'm like, I'm like, that's like,
if only I had gotten to the event this past weekend at like 5 a.m., I could have gotten the free buffs, Yeah,
Rebekah, you should have woken up earlier for our podcast. That's on me. Yeah, that is on you.
It's on me.
That's 100% on you. How dare you not go to the Survivor event earlier?
But I know they have the buffs because they had 100 of them there. Anyway.
I don't know. Like, it's like such a big seller. If I was not running this podcast, I would see in October and been like, no. In fact, when I bought them, it said they were shipping out September 14th. So I feel lied to in the first place. But what am I going to do? Get a refund? That's all they're going to offer. So I want the buffs. Anyways. All right. So we get a match chat, though I have been dubious of match chats ever since 45 literally did one to screw with us. And then 46 just didn't do one. So do I take it into account? Yes. Do I take it as seriously as season 33 through 44? No. All right. So Gabe from the Blue Tribe gets a match chat. As we saw Gabe, by the end of the episode, he's in a precarious position, in my opinion. I feel like it's not great. And then Teeny from Red gets a match chat. I feel like she's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. Although, I don't know, there's so much, like, every time Teeny is talking, I feel like it's like, at least from what we saw in this episode, it was like a comedy routine and we got like comedic music in the background. So it very much gave me the vibe of like someone who's going to go far in the game, but like not necessarily a winner vibe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
But but it is interesting that the match chat, that is an interesting factor.
If the match chat is through the season, and I'm not telling anyone to put their stock in it, that's what I'm trying to say. Teeny is your best bet because the other two are Andy and John. Well, John's gone, so that doesn't mean anything. And Andy, my goodness, I was surprised he didn't go tonight.
And it seems like on the next week on Survivor, it seems like next week we're gonna get even more Andy chaos.
Here's the thing. I told Mary a few days ago, I'm like, this season, if a jaw-dropping event happens, I'm not going to wait weeks to put it into a jaw-dropping video. I'm going to do it as soon as it happens. So I guess this is a heads up for all patrons and people here on YouTube, obviously. I will be dropping a new jaw-dropping video, probably jaw-dropping volume 12 at this point, though I will not call it that because I just change the name every time. People, by the way, Rebekah, have no idea for the most part. Even though I'm on a podcast here where like 10, 20, 30,000 people are going to listen. Generally, no one's ever acknowledged, hey, isn't this like the 11th edition of this series? You've just changed the name. Yes.
Yeah.
The one I'm posting on Monday on YouTube will be the 12th now and Andy's going to make it because I was like blown away that he said any of those things at the immunity challenge, and then John proceeds to get voted off. I mean, I wasn't sure which one was more jaw dropping, if Andy then got voted off or John went, and I'm like, I guess Andy not going actually is even more. And then apparently next week we're getting like teased that Andy's gonna do something else crazy or say something crazy. Like Sam's like, yeah. I mean, hopefully it's legit.
He's not gonna stop. Yeah.
Yeah. And Annika's like, he's like a toxic, clingy boyfriend. I'm like, yeah, you guys chose him.
Yeah.
Because he's 10 years younger than John. I'm not sure why else. Like, that's what it sounded like. Because he's 10 years younger than John, and he might be physically stronger in challenges, as if that ever matters in Modern Survivor.
But also, even like Sam pointed out in this episode, like Andy kind of gave up like halfway through the challenge this week. So it's like, okay, you can have a strong person who's going to give up, or someone who might not be as strong but is going to give it their all.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was a crazy decision.
Modern Survivor always comes down to the puzzle. Like, when was the last time an immunity challenge came down to who's physically stronger? Like, never.
Well, I mean, yeah, like
immunity
I guess
challenge.
Technically first place in this challenge, they like, I think they finished the puzzle before like the other tribes even got up there.
Yeah.
But in terms of like who's not getting voted out, that was all the puzzle.
Okay,
like,
but it wasn't
the puzzle
like
decided that.
But it wasn't like the yellow tribe was that red tribe. Like red tribe pushed through, got to the front, had so much time, they finished the puzzle really fast. Good for them. Great job. And by the way, I know we're kind of skipping ahead here, but my point, I guess, is that it wasn't like the yellow tribe got there first on the back of Andy. Like, it looked like Solomon carried red to the front, frankly. The yellow tribe doesn't look like they got carried by Andy to the front, and then they lost the lead on the puzzle. No.
They fell apart on the puzzle. They were not communicating well.
They weren't good on the boat. They weren't good on the puzzle. Like, it wasn't...
Yep.
It's just... Andy will save us in challenges. Did he, though? All right. Well, anyways. The Matt Chat. As of now, Gabe, Teeny, and Andy are the only ones who had a Matt Chat. Teeny's the only one I feel okay about at the moment from the Matt Chat, if the Matt Chat does actually reveal the winner. For those who are confused, check out my Survivor 45 Secrets video. I unveil there how the Matt Chat revealed who the winner of Survivor was between seasons 33 and 44. Now, if you don't know the winners of seasons 33 through 44, don't watch the Survivor 45 Secrets video. Or sorry, 44 Secrets. It wasn't 45. It's 44. Survivor 44 Secrets. Ooh, couldn't get that mixed up. Because 44 is the last time they did that. So that was the video. I was like, I gotta like show, because people kept asking, what do you mean? All right. So I just like showed the evidence. Like, here, look, this happens. Like, it's every season for 11 seasons or whatever it was. So, all right. I gotta say though, so Andy got the Matt Chat, and then Andy hypes up the reward challenge. Now, that could go one of two ways, hyping up Survivor. You could go with the, maybe I should pay attention to this person's production seems to be favoring them so far in the storytelling. It's very early on. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but does mean maybe they go far. And I'm not saying Andy doesn't go far. Who knows at this point? John just got voted out over him. Who really knows? But I will say that the other route is Banu, who also stroked production's ego massively in the beginning of 46, just to fall apart and cry and blame God for putting him on Survivor, as if Banu didn't apply himself onto the show.
Yeah.
So who knows what we're going, but it seems like the Banu route at the moment. Just gotta say, because Andy was hyping up Survivor. Oh, this reward challenge. Right, I was like expecting us to go into it and see something like Tribal Set was very cool, but the reward challenge was like, yeah, all right. I mean, they ran into the jungle. I did like the running in the jungle part, but that wasn't like anything to write home about.
It was just like, this is a Survivor challenge.
Yeah,
like, cool.
The drone shot, the one drone shot was cool, but like we've seen that before too in first challenges on Survivor. So it's all right. Okay. So, anyways, we have the reward challenge. Rebekah, can you tell everyone what it was?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was fairly simple challenge, but definitely like, getting the Survivor experience pretty immediately. So for this challenge, 2 people at a time would crawl under a muddy net and then race through the jungle, which was really cool. Like you said, they had kind of like this path that they had to go on. And then there were various obstacles. I think there were like 3 obstacles for each tribe that had puzzle pieces tied with rope onto the obstacles. So the players had to untie or release the puzzle pieces, and they were heavy, of course, and then run them back to the start. The next 2 people would go, and then once they had all their puzzle pieces, 2 tribe members did the puzzle, and first tribe to get done first won their tribe supplies, and the other 2 tribes were losers. So
Yeah, it's I mean, the results run of the mill in terms of one tribe gets so whatever. It happened. Yellow was like, oh, we got bad team chemistry. Little do we know. And I mean, like, it may not have come to a head here where they won the challenge, but it comes to a head later. So they win the reward challenge.
I will say their strategy on this puzzle, I don't know what it was. Yeah, they had a good strategy on this one because they didn't rush into it. They took their time, even though they were in dead last. They took a second, looked at the puzzle, and then it came together really fast for them. And then they didn't do that for the immunity challenge when it mattered even more, but we'll get to that.
We're going to do the question portion at the end, but I'm just going to throw this one out there now because this is funny.
Yes.
Gary says, do you think Andy's out there to try and win 1 million hearts?
Oh, you know what? I think he is. Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, man. All right. So we'll do that later. Okay. So I like nice. I do like to go in the jungle for this reward challenge. Whatever. All right. I wish the production team, I understand tribal council is like a set and they use it once for the whole season. So it's really cool to put extra effort into it. Man, I wish they had the time because I feel like it's a time issue. I could be wrong. Maybe it's budget issue as well. I mean, what isn't a budget issue anymore in Survivor? But I like it's a tribal council set so cool. I'm like, I bet you if they were given creative freedom, they could do really cool stuff for challenges. I feel like they've been kind of shoved into a rut. I don't know if it's a rut that they've chosen or if it's a rut that they're just like, because of budget, we have to use stuff we already got. I don't know. Like, I really don't. So when I see the tribal council, I'm like, wow, that is like super cool. And then I see the challenge. I'm like, wow, I've seen this 1,000 times. Like, I know the puzzle on the reward challenge was new. Like, I don't think I've seen it before, but I mean, it's just another variation of the same thing. So.
Right. Yeah, it was a similar style to what we've seen before.
Can we not finish on a puzzle twice in the same episode? Can't the reward challenge be something else? You know how we've seen the reward challenge be put your face underneath the grate and try not to drown and die. I know that was an individual one, but I'm saying when it comes to reward, it doesn't have to be a puzzle. It could be something fun and exciting. Or like, whoa, that was a cool challenge. And then for the immunity, we can do the boring puzzle because it has to be. Apparently, that is the great equalizer. As if certain people aren't better puzzles than other. I don't know why puzzles are somehow what we've defaulted to when we could do physical challenges as well. Like, why do people with puzzle brains get the advantage on Survivor?
I mean, I really think it only counts. I don't think, like, I think it only counts as an equalizer if the first part of the challenge is physical. So if it's like, part of it is physical and part of it is puzzle, then everybody has a shot.
I think we should do tug of war and 1-on-1, 1v1. You score a point for your tribe. 1v1 tug of wars. And every time you score a point, the other person falls into the mud pit in the middle.
I love that.
Like this, that's a reward challenge. That's just
challenge. Was it Heroes versus Villains where they did the one where they like had to shove each other off a platform into the mud?
And they've done that. They've done that, I believe, on Blood versus Water as well.
Amazing.
But I think it was in the ocean because I think if I recall, it was in the ocean, which by the way makes sense in terms of the cleanliness and having to like set it up and stuff. Instead of having to make all this mud and stuff, you could just...
No,
I don't know.
I want to see the survivors dumped in just a giant puddle of mud immediately. That was my favorite part of this challenge.
No.
Like, they got to be fully immersed into the island immediately.
The fact that challenge, the shoving each other challenge that we saw in Heroes vs. Villains doesn't happen in every season. There's like a captain's... Like, captains should face off in that challenge. Like, that should be like the challenge for facing off. I'm with you. So anyways, my point is that it feels like too many puzzles when there's two in the same episode. There should be one.
Yes.
And then the other challenge should be something different or unique. And I don't mean unique as in let's now toss beanbags up in the air on the little circles for the 50th time either. Like, I know that's not technically a puzzle, but shoot me in the head. No, don't shoot me. All right. So anyways, Aycha and TK go on a journey. And at first I thought, I'm sorry. I know I'm saying Aycha's name wrong, and I will try. I see how it's spelled, and it screws me up.
That's tripping me up too.
I am not trying to say it wrong. So Aycha and TK go on a journey, and at first thought was like, does Aycha knows better? She even acknowledged on the show. I'm a Survivor podcaster. I'm like, she should know not to go on the journey, right? Yeah. Like that almost never works out. It's very hard to explain, especially when you come back with nothing. I'm actually surprised there wasn't more like, does she have an advantage? Like, how did no one say that? Does she have an advantage?
Yeah, that was surprising to me too. I did like that Rome said that she made a big mistake by going on this journey, whatever it's called. Because Q 2.0, let's go.
And I did look at the filming date, this was filmed. They did start filming in May, I believe mid-May. So at this point, I believe they saw the infamous Q episode of him saying big mistake. So that had to be amazing. That had to be fresh in their brains.
Had to be a reference.
Had to be fresh in their brains.
This is going back a little bit. I am shocked that Jeff has not said 40 several yet at all. Because I was wondering if that's why, if it was because like the cast hadn't seen the previous season yet, but they have.
They have.
So like and that was episode 1. So like they have to know the joke.
If we don't go through, yes, because they filmed this. I don't have the Survivor Wiki in front of me. Maybe you can pull up Rebekah. I believe the first day of filming is May 15th. So if you assume they were on the island for a week before that, May 8th, I mean, that is still with only like 2 or 3 episodes left. I think it was like 3 episodes left in Survivor 46 at that point. They definitely knew about 40 several, or at least several. So I am waiting with bated breath for somebody to say several or 40 several in place of 7. So hopefully it'll happen.
It's gotta happen.
I'm surprised it didn't happen either, but maybe Jeff's waiting for somebody else to say it. I don't know. Maybe Jeff's like, all right, that's I don't know. Like he did during the season because Zelensky was on the season. Maybe he's not trying to cross seasons in that sense. I don't know. But then again, sometimes they do when they feel like it.
He referenced it so many times in the last season.
I don't know.
Crazy.
I will see if somebody says it. I would be shocked if we go through the whole season and nobody says it. I would be surprised. We go through the whole season and not one person says it. That's a big mistake. All right.
Yes,
so
agreed.
We go to the Yellow Tribe's beach and John says, we're going to run the gamut on these challenges. Turns out, no, they're not. John gets his backstory. As it turns out, that doesn't matter. Andy calls Survivor a numbers game. Now, at this point, Andy has stroked Productions' ego, gotten a Matt chat, and called Survivor a numbers game. I wrote Andy into my number 1 spot, winner analysis.
Yeah, he was looking good at this point in the episode.
At this point in the episode, he was looking good. He was number 1 for that brief glimpse of time. Number 1.
Yeah.
We'll just hang there. All right. So go over to Tuku, the Blue Tribe, and they're just getting right to work right away. Gabe wants to work with Sue. Sue talks to Carolyn. And we go, I mean, that's basically all happened. We go over to the Lava Red Tribe. They're right to work as well. So no time for introductions. Just get to work. That's what Red and Blue are doing. Teeny is about being everyone's number 1. And as Swathi taught us, I believe in 42, that's a big mistake. Though she does like I'm sorry if I butcher these names. Keyshawn, Genevieve loves Rome if you want to. Rome and Teeny. By the way, Teeny, that's what I'm saying. Teeny seems well liked. I'm not saying Teeny's winner. I'm saying Teeny's well liked. So it's hard to ignore Teeny.
No, I agree.
I don't know. There's like we get very brief glimpses of how some people feel about each other, not others.
It's also like it's so hard, especially in these early like episodes, because the tribe that's like doing so poorly is getting so much time and attention.
We had 2 hours we're getting episode. These. What do you mean?
Well, but I mean, like, like I just feel like I didn't get to know like Teeny super well in this episode, but that's not to say that like, Teeny's not in a good spot. Like, it does seem like their tribe is getting along very well. So yeah, who knows? We'll see.
Who knows? So I am 90% sure, I could be wrong, that Aycha and TK get to go to Ghost Island for this challenge. I mean, obviously, the island that they use for Ghost Island, I'm sure has been used for other stuff. When I saw the aerial shot, I was like, that's Ghost Island. So they go to Ghost Island for their challenge. TK ends up being Aycha. How do you feel about this on that last key thing? Like he's walking right past it. He almost sees it. Do you think TK made the right move by going like to Aycha when she goes to reach for it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I felt like she should have tried harder to get it. Like,
she didn't try hard enough.
This is Survivor. Like, like you got to tackle whoever you got to tackle, start shoving his head underwater, like whatever you got to do. You get that key. You can't go back to your tribe with nothing. They're going to think you have an advantage.
I'm sensing that you're joking, but I don't want to say that you're joking for sure because...
Yeah. I mean, I guess I wasn't super clear on like the rules. Like once he like touched the key, if it was his or she had a shot to like get it. I think she could
have wrestled the key off of there and raced him.
Yeah.
I don't think production was going to step and be like, whoa, no, TK touched it
Hold
on.
No,
I think they'd be like, whatever makes for better TV.
Now, I do think that he would have like definitely won that interaction, so maybe it was wise for her to not.
There was no way she's physically out wrestling TK for the key. No.
Yeah. No. So that was probably smart, but for me as the viewer at home, I would have loved to see I don't know, more fighting over the key.
Like now, if Blue was to argue we need to keep TK for his strength, I get that. Mm-hmm. Andy for his strength, TK for his strength, yes. Andy for his strength, though, like, all right. So we go back to the Yellow tribe because Yellow is apparently not going to get enough screen time. Annika seems intense, is my note here. I don't know what it is. It's the way she's leading. It's just like, I don't, girl, guy, I don't care. Just the way she's leading is like kind of like, Annika's kind of intense. Like, there's the way she was talking about I think it was a rotten coconut or something like that. And then,
sprouted coconut.
Yeah, something like that. And then she's talking about how to build the shelter and whatnot. Like, I would listen to her, but at the same time, I'd be like, gotta keep my eye on Aycha. She's ready to run things around here.
I like that John called her, he was like, she's a prepared person. I feel like that's pretty accurate. Like,
coming from the guy who wrote speeches for presidents.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Or for any president.
She strikes me as the type of person who like sees very clearly, like in black and white, like this is what we need to do. And so if people aren't like automatically doing it, like I think she was trying to be like gentle and subtle about it, but it was definitely, coming across as very like intense and leader. Like, I think she was nice about it, but just like telling people what to do, you know?
Yes, it is true. Sierra that makes the fire, not Sierra who voted her mother, not the same Sierra.
Oh.
Spelled differently. Spelled differently.
Yeah.
Spelled
I was going to ask. I thought it was the same person.
Oh, I also got to mention, since I brought up one of our meme characters, yes, I'm aware Sammy's in the Mr. Beast video. I've seen 50,000 comments about it. I was not, I just like, I don't know, Mr. Beast videos are kind of whatever to me. So it's cool that Sammy's on there, but unless he's saying, you know, I played Survivor when I was only 19 or anything else related to Survivor, it's kind of, I mean, like, cool. Like, I guess. Like, Survivors are on stuff all the time. I saw Suri on the Wild Robot commercial tonight on TV.
Yes.
Why? Because Suri's in everything now.
Is she in that movie? I was confused by that.
It was kind of like when they hired...
She's just their spokesperson.
Yeah. It's kind of like when they hired Dee to do the Quiet Place Day 1 commercial during 46.
Oh, that's right.
I think it's the same idea.
I forgot about that.
Somebody who's in charge of Survivor or somebody who does ads during Survivor is like, hey, like you want to appeal to the Survivor audience, just stick a Survivor in there. Literally. Just stick a Survivor in your commercial. They'll pay attention. And it's true. I was not going to pay attention until I saw Suri. So smart call. Same with A Quiet Place Day 1, because Dee was in the commercial. I paid attention. Otherwise, it would have been a movie that came and went. I would not have thought about. So good on them.
Now, here's the thing. Did you go see the Quiet Place movie? Did you give them any money?
I did see A Quiet Place parts 1 and 2. I did not see Day 1 because it didn't seem like it was a continuation of 1 and 2.
See? Yeah.
Well,
I didn't watch it either.
I'm just not interested in a prequel.
So did the commercial actually work? Did the amount of money that they paid Dee to be in that commercial, did it work out for them?
If their goal was to make me go see Day 1, no. If their goal was to make me remember the fact that the movie was coming out, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
I think their goal was to make money.
I'm with you. They're not just there for the exposure. I get it. All right.
Right.
You and I are filmmakers. We know. The exposure, you know, when I'm like 20, yes. When I'm 30, no. I'm the past exposure.
Exposure doesn't pay the rent, you know?
Nobody wants to see anything exposed when you're 30. You know what I mean?
No.
All right, so.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, Sam wants to be the glue guy for their tribe. Now, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I thought this was an interesting like way to put it. You know, I think that he is... I don't know if I was on board with the way that he was like framing things because like, I don't know, sports analogy, like sure.
I know it's not Taylor Swift.
It's not Taylor Swift. So I kind of zoned out. I'm going to be honest. No, no, but I do agree with his strategy. I think it's good to lay low at this point in the game. And I think that's basically what he was saying is like, I'm going to be kind of the guy in the middle, the guy that nobody's thinking about. And then when it's time, I'm stabbing you in the back, you know? So if he's able to, I mean, you know, everyone can say that early in the game. Everyone can talk a good game right now. So we'll see if he actually like follows through on that strategy. But I think like that is a good way to play. You want to be kind of unnoticed in the beginning, and then and he also wasn't like purpled by the show. Like we did, you know, hear from him a couple of times. So I felt like that was a good sign that, hopefully we do see some good things from him this season.
You know, when he talked about he reminded me of I believe it's Seinfeld, where I think Seinfeld is the glue in their group. Like George and Elaine cannot hang out without Seinfeld around. It's like weird for them. and they're like, we need Seinfeld here. And like the moment Jerry Seinfeld shows up, they're like, okay, we can talk to each other now. But like without Seinfeld, they're like, so how's work going? Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's like normally these people are like talking about the craziest, most stupid, insane things when Jerry's around. But when Jerry's not around, they're like, because he's their glue guy. He's the one guy who keeps them together. Sam wants to be Jerry Seinfeld of the group.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
That's all I could think about when he talked about that. All right. So we go over to the Blue Tribe. Carolyn says the guys have a bromance. They're all bromancing. Yeah. And I think by the end of the episode, we realized that maybe she was right in the moment, but Gabe is not bromancing hard enough with TK because he brings Sue in on his little secret, but TK is like arm's length. So maybe TK and Kyle are bromancing, but Gabe is not part of the bromance, at least not enough to be trusting the guys. But I did think it was interesting that Carolyn thinks that, so we'll see if that matters. Gabe finds the beware advantage. As it turns out, nobody's learned anything. He doesn't just try to break the box. Did nobody learn anything? I mean, to be fair, now maybe the reason people don't break the box is not for the reasons we think, which is production sitting there whispering in there, don't break the box, you gotta use the key. Because again, if you don't open the scroll, it's a box, time to break it. Remember, ignorance is bliss, people. If you get on Survivor, I said this last time, saying it for those who go on 49, ignorance is bliss. You don't know until you try. Anyways, so I think maybe the biggest thing here is it's not necessarily that production is sitting there going, don't break the box, use the key. It could be that it just makes so much noise to break the box. As we learned when he literally drops the box just down the hill.
Like the side of a rock. Like, literally like so close to camp. Literally everybody heard him. So funny.
Then when, was it him or Rome who was breaking the driftwood? He was breaking driftwood and that was fine.
Yes.
But that was in the middle of the night.
But that was also
probably
like
distance away.
Yeah, first thing in the morning. Yeah.
Distance away. Though that would have, if I heard that being broken off in the distance, if I heard anything be broken off in the distance and Gabe isn't near me, I'd be like, what is, I mean, I would wake up probably, I would think. I'm not.
Also waking up to that noise, like I would be so furious immediately. Like that would be rough.
I told Mary though, I'm like, everybody's just come into 40 several. So guns a-blazing, knows exactly what's going to happen. Like they don't even need to know it's beware advantage. Like it's advantage. All right, whatever. I'll do it. Like, there's no like, that's what I mean. It's like, it's not dangerous anymore. It stopped being dangerous after like 43, 44. That's when the danger truly stopped because people just are like, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, cause like, what's the, all right, beware means nothing now. There's no threat. The beware means nothing. There's no threat. Like nobody felt threatened when they saw it. They're like, okay. Cool.
Like, I'll risk my vote for this.
I'll go find the stupid key.
I'm playing Survivor, you know?
I'll go find the stupid key. Yeah. So when they say it's the most dangerous, the game's gotten super dangerous, like, but then I see players go out there and like, okay. With the exception of, I think, of Brandon honestly, and 45, and Brandon is not our barometer for, Brandon 45 is not the barometer for, is the beware advantage scary?
I feel like safe is a good word to describe this episode. Like Jeff reiterated that they're all safe on the island. The beware advantage is not dangerous.
Nope.
It's safe.
Community. So the community they're creating makes you feel safe.
It does. Yep. Yeah. Safe is the buzzword of this episode.
This was a weaker premiere for me than 46 and 45. 45 said the best premiere of the entire new era, but
agreed.
Yeah, 46's premiere is better than this one too.
Yeah, 46. I think I'm trying to remember that premiere. I remember early in
Jelinski.
He broke that's
the
what
hourglass.
Helped the premiere.
He was quitting challenges. He then told people he doesn't quit things at Tribal, and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, because that's so you're so right to bring that up because I always think of like the early part of that season, and I just think of Banu, but he wasn't like that in the first episode.
Didn't ruin the first episode. He ruined episodes 3 and 4, if I recall, but it was not the first episode.
Oh man.
So, the premiere 46 was stronger. 45 was the strongest of the new era so far. This one felt safe. Yeah, I felt like something I would see in 43 or 44, just dragged out to 2 hours with one boot. So, all right, not bad, just safe. So, anyways, TK catches Gabe, but he catches Gabe finding the key. Now, at this point, I don't know what the right move is. I mean, the right move to wait for TK to get back. Then again, he waited for TK to leave to even tell him about the beware advantage. What was the right move here, Rebekah?
Yeah, I mean, it is tough when you get caught looking for an advantage or something. But I don't know. I think that it depends on who you're dealing with. And I don't know if like Gabe knew TK well enough to know how smart of a player he was going to be. Because like if you're dealing with a smart player, they're going to have the reaction that TK had, which was, oh, you told me that you found the key before you found the beware advantage. That seems like you're probably lying to me. Like, that's kind of weird. How did you find the key? And so, to Gabe's face, like TK is like, oh, yeah, like that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. But that seed of suspicion has been planted. And I think that does not bode well for for them working together in the future. So yeah, I think, I don't know. It is also awkward if you're like, oh, you caught me. Now let me tell you about the idol.
Every time. It's always awkward every time this happens.
Yeah. So I don't know that there is a good option at this point. Like the only good option would have been to tell TK as soon as he found the beware advantage. But like, how would you know?
Did you have to, I wonder, do you have to make the decision about whether you're going to keep going for the idol from the time you open the box? Not that matters to the situation with TK. Because he opens the box. Does he have to make the decision right then and there? Could he be like, let me see how immunity challenge goes before I decide whether to decide whether to do the next box or not. I don't know. There's a super long instruction right there in front of him.
I think there was something in the instruction that said like make your decision now or like decide quickly or something like that. Because yeah, I think he did have to decide immediately. Because
logically you'd be like, well, let me see how this immunity challenge pans out before I decide whether to go for a 3 tribal ladder or not. So anyways, TK catches him. TK's a little suspicious. He brings Sue in the loop. Sue, by the way, I feel like is in a much better place than I thought she would be from what I saw in the preseason stuff.
Yes, I was surprised.
I'm not saying she's in, I mean, what do I know? I thought John was fine too until they went to vote him out tribal. So
same.
Until they're like, after the immunity challenge, like, oh, okay, it's John or Andy, right? I'm like, it's John or Andy? What?
Right.
Shouldn't it just be Andy? Why is it John or Andy? By the way, Andy, knowing his life's on the line. John, knowing his life's on the line. No one plays a shot in the dark. Is a shot in the dark not there this season? Did they stop doing that? Did I miss something?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Dark,
knowing that their life is on the line.
I was surprised at least Andy didn't play it because he was so paranoid. I don't know.
Not even that. Like, because, we saw Gabler be paranoid in 43 and then he went on to win. So it's not like it's the end of the world to be paranoid, but like neither of them play. I don't know. Alrighty. Well, so TK gets back to camp. He tells everyone, they're like, oh, cool. Great job, TK. Aycha gets back to camp, tells the tribe what happened on the journey. And apparently Teeny has heard Aycha on Rob's podcast before. I don't know if this is when Aycha said she was on Rob's podcast, but very cool they got that shout out. Like, no shade or anything. I know earlier I was a little bit joking. I'm like, no one's ever going to say our podcast. And it's probably the truth. I mean, Robin's podcast is the king, and it's not like there's a huge gap between them being number 1 and us being number 2, though we are number 1 in your hearts, hopefully, but no number 2 on the charts. Yeah. Pretty cool. I wonder if that will come up later or if just like the one reference here being like, okay, guys, like later on, if you want to throw her under the bus, be like, this woman literally podcasts about this, not just Pod Save America, or whatever it's called that John's on about politics. No, she literally podcasts. She's talked to survivors. She literally is good friends with Rob, who I'm actually surprised. I wonder if they'll ever be brought up the fact that the podcast she works for is run by an ex-survivor. I'm surprised that was not mentioned specifically. Yeah. Maybe because Jeff's like, oh no. The On Fire podcast is Jeff Probst, the only official Survivor podcast.
Yeah, but they did mention the podcast by name, which, like you said, I was kind of surprised that they did that.
Positively surprised. Yeah. I bet you
yes.
Rob was, flipping out in his chair in his apartment, whatever, when he heard that. I would be. If you were on the show and you said, they let you say my name, I'd be like,
1000%.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just that. So anyways. So she tells them, apparently nobody questions whether she has an advantage or anything, which is, the past 6 seasons have taught us that that's what everybody questions. So I'm surprised nobody even mentioned it or that it wasn't included in the edit.
Even because I almost wonder if like Teeny had some suspicion, but like then because they, ended up kind of like aligning, it was maybe more of a like, if she does have an advantage, like she'll tell me type thing. I don't know. Yeah, that was definitely weird to me.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to say is that even if anybody did question it, it literally doesn't matter. That's all that. That's all that. That's all it means.
Because Aycha ends up in like a really good alliance. The foursome alliance that she has is like really good. So
it really helps. I mean, that Rome follows the lyrics of Rome by the B-52s and goes, Rome, if you want to roam around the world. He takes that quite literally, as he literally goes off by himself and roams around looking for anything. He finds the beware advantage. He face first in the well. By the way, the wide shot from afar of him in the well, I'm like, somebody walked up on this right now.
Yeah. I was also like, I guess I didn't know how deep the well was, but I was like, is he going to fall in and like get stuck upside down in this well? I was really, like that was stressful.
Oh no, wait, you call for Lassie if you get stuck in the well. That's how it works. I forgot how it works with Lassie. Yeah. Rebecca's like, that's too old of a reference for me. That's okay.
Yeah, sorry. That's before my time.
That's before my time too. I just know the reference. All right. Anyways, Rome finds a beware advantage. At this point, I think we've kind of settled on he's looking for, like he's looking for the three tribal idol. I forgot where we landed on with Rome. He doesn't have an idol in his pocket. People are just like, what the heck is he doing?
First one.
He's looking for the first one. Okay.
I think so. Which, by the way, his seemed like, I don't know if it was harder, but like the whole like pouring water on the tree to like reveal a clue. Yes. It's like if someone walks up on you, the clue is just right there. It's a giant clue.
He didn't even cover it up. So I'm like, does it disappear? Is like disappearing ink? Does it disappear?
But even still, like, how long does it take it to disappear? It's not going to dry instantly. Your whole tribe is like right there. You know what I mean? I don't know. And that seemed, all
Gabe had to do is pull on a vine.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Literally. It's not the same.
No.
Yeah, because Gabe gets caught finding the key and TK's like, oh, you found the key up there. That's interesting. Like, it has plausible deniability that you saw it up there. Rome, why are you pouring water on this log? Like, there's no deniability to that. That is straight up like, what are you doing? You know, like there's just no way to be like, oh, the log looked dry. You know, like what are you supposed to say?
Yeah, exactly.
The log looked parched. It looked quite parched, so I gave it water. All right, Rome, you crazy pants. So, anyways, Gabe ends up landing on keeping. Long story short, we already talked about him dropping the box. He lands on keeping the 3 tribal idol. What do you think about that decision?
You know, I thought that was interesting. This is one of those things. It's so easy when you're sitting at home watching it to be like, no, like just go for the full idol because it lasts until, 5 people left. Like, and especially because I think he was doing this at like first thing in the morning, like probably not everyone was up. I was like, you have time. Like you have time right now to go finish this, But he said, he was tired or I think he said exhausted, which is like fair enough. And yeah, I don't know, maybe the tribe was, closer to waking up than I realized. So I don't know. I would have loved to see him go for it, but I also understand the decision to be like, you know what, this is safety for 3 tribals and that's good enough for now.
I think his decision's just fine. The only issue at the moment is that TK is sus of him now because of this whole thing. People heard the noise. We didn't really see any follow up on that, so I'm not too concerned with the noise. But I am concerned about TK and him being like, okay. The noise,
and then someone also said like, I don't know what he's even doing over there. Like, what would you be doing over by the rocks? So that could come back to bite him.
Really, the hanging thing for me though is that TK saw him find the idol. Saw him find the key. TK's got to be wondering, okay, you still got that key, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, you don't? Where's the key?
Did Gabe keep the key so that he could lie to TK?
So that he could just cover up.
Be like, oh, I still haven't found it,
Just keep the key in your bag as a cover up.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I'm wondering. When you put the key in and you unlock the box, is the key like locked in the box now, like a magic trick? Like you can't get the key out anymore? I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Great question.
That's the one of those things that you got to like be on top of when you're doing stuff like this. And the adrenaline's running, but you got to like, it's Survivor. You got 3 days in episode 1, right? You got time. You don't have to rush this stuff. I know it seems like everyone was like, I gotta rush. Like we don't have 24 hours in the day, right? Like we don't have almost all day.
What else are you going to be doing on this island?
With the exception of your immunity challenge, you have all day, and you have nighttime. Survivor production doesn't even show us things at night unless something related to an advantage is happening. So like you literally, nothing ever happens at night. You got all night. So anyways, that's the whole thing. I know that by the way, all they have is moonlight. I'm aware it's very dark. I'm not saying nighttime's easy. But I am saying I saw Tony on Winners at War searching around like a complete lunatic looking for an idol and he found one in the middle of the night. So it is possible. Though to say anyone's like Tony.
Just be Tony. Yeah. Everyone just be Tony.
Tony on Australian Survivor is going to be something else, let me tell you.
Oh, man. That's going to be unhinged.
Yeah,
I would like to watch
if
that.
it is airing during the off season of Survivor, we will podcast about it, or we'll attempt to. But if it is during 48 or 40 several, like, it's just not going to happen. I can only do one Survivor at a time podcasting.
Yeah.
All right.
It's too many people at some point.
So we go back to the Yellow Tribe, and let's just, I mean, we're living in the Yellow Tribe at this point. Andy makes time to spend with Rachel. And I remember last time we talked about Andy, I was like, number 1 on the winner analysis. I was like, numbers game. He's been stroking their ego, whatnot. Like, Andy's been looking pretty good. Got a mat chat. Makes time to spend with Rachel. I'm like, okay, cool. And then Rachel's like, no, I don't even want to get up early to talk to you. And which, by the way, is a normal. I know it's not maybe not shown a lot on Survivor, but that is a normal thing. It is shown a few times, and it's talked about more on post game podcasts. People get up early and talk all the time. So what Andy proposing here is not something crazy. Getting up early and having a chat in the morning. That is not crazy.
My question though is because I know that people will like, at least from what I've seen the little bits that they've shown on the show, people will like get up early and kind of go to some place that's like semi-public, and then as people wake up, they kind of join them.
Yes.
So
they'll like sit there and watch the sunrise or whatever.
Yes. So that seems normal. It did seem from the way Andy was describing it, like he was like, oh, we're going to get up early and we're going to go off and we're going to do yoga and then we're going to sit down and have an intense conversation. So like, I think it was more about the way that he suggested it than it was about what he was suggesting. That was my impression.
Yeah, Rebekah, I was going to say, so I'm not Andy, nor am I Rachel. So maybe did it come across like he was asking her out on a date? Was that kind of pressure? Was it too much pressure? Need to be more like, hey, let's go that he was, and just have lunch and coffee together. Just go get coffee.
I kind of thought that he was being a little flirty with her, but like she was not reciprocating, and I don't think that's really where it ended up. Like I don't think that was his intention.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, no,
same. I don't think he was flirting. I'm just saying the way it came across was kind of like asking somebody out on a date who's like, whoa, I barely know you, or I'm not interested. Pick one.
Yeah. Yes.
It needed to be more like, hey, let's go grab coffee sometime. And it was more like, hey, let's go on a dinner date. And then maybe afterwards we can watch Netflix at my house. That's what kind of came across intensity wise.
100%. Yeah. I know this great bar that's 1 block from my house. Yeah.
1 block from my house. Oh, man. All right. So Andy feels like he is spiraling, is what he says. Rachel's annoyed. Andy kind of senses this because he's like spiraling middle night, and then he picks her to go talk to. I mean, I guess let's think about this. Was he going to pick Aycha? No, Annika's been kind of intense. She's probably not going to be the one you're looking for empathy from. She also said she's going to be evil, so probably not. Yeah. John, maybe.
He says John is his best friend.
John he is a podcaster. That does not mean, as everybody's heard listening to me, that you're an amazing listener. That's not how it works. It just means that you entertain, in my case. Great listener, though, you'd think would come with the territory. John seems like he's a pretty good listener. I noticed that when they got back from the immunity challenge, he was just there listening. And I was like, good for John. I was like, that's the way to go about this. Let Andy talk. It didn't work out. So what do I know? I mean, I have some ideas, but we'll get there when we get there. So John senses Andy has anxiety and isn't sure if he wants to work with him. But Andy, I don't know, Andy, out of all the people he picks Rachel. And that goes back to like the intensity thing. Like, I don't know, Andy's not really reading the room. And maybe that's why Andy feels like he's left out of things in life, because he's not reading the room. Or he doesn't like the read of the room. I don't know. Yeah. I can't really. And I mean,
and I think that like, there are definitely like personality types and certain things where it's like, you're not going to attract. I mean, no one's going to be liked by everyone. And I think there's certain personalities where it's like, I know, shocking information. Sorry to break it to you.
I thought everyone
I don't know if we're getting too deep on this podcast.
Nobody
but like,
ever complains about me on this podcast. Nobody ever goes, well, actually.
Yeah.
Well, actually.
But I think like, I do think that Andy might have one of those personality types where it's like, he's more like polarizing to certain people, but the people, I mean, at least from what he's describing, like, people who are in his life, like he has a great community. But yeah, I think that is very likely, some of his struggle with this social game is like, like he's not a personality type for everyone. And that doesn't mean that he's like doing anything wrong or anybody else is doing anything wrong. It's just a personality thing, Right. And that's hard in a social game, but that's Survivor.
Like you and Mary, not polarizing. Me, polarizing. But I feel like the way Andy was talking, and I'm saying this, by the way, as somebody who has experienced what Andy's experiencing here, but Andy's 31 years old, and it's kind of later in life. I mean, I'm glad to be maturing past this, is my opinion. It's an opinion, just an opinion. I'm not like some expert, but it seems like this is like something like at first when he started like talking about this and what he's talking about, I'm like, okay, Andy's like mid-20s. Mary looked up 31. I was like, oh, I was wrong. Kind of reminds me of Hannah, the therapist from 45. I'm like, this woman's 34 years old or 33 years old, wherever she is. And I'm like, that's too old to be acting the way she's acting. And it's like, ugh, like this is stuff you're supposed to like go through in your 20s and you grow out of. So and I'm not, Andy's a little different. Hold on, I'll let you jump in.
Yes.
Hannah to me was like a choice in terms of like, I want my nicotine and I want my bed and all that stuff. Andy's more like it's clearly an insecurity, a personality thing. It's definitely like, it's almost crazy that he's not the one that was in like 26 homes over 5 years. Like to me, I thought that would, we haven't learned much from Kyle, but like if Kyle's a bit insecure, I get it. Are you kidding me? 26 homes in 5 years. I can't even fathom how that works. I don't like, that's a lot, especially when you're a teenager, is what I assume from his backstory. So if Kyle has some insecurities, I get it. But Andy, I'm like, this is like, he's like, I don't know how to say, he needs to find Jesus, he needs to get therapy, he needs something. All right. That's what I'm trying to say. So go ahead, Rebekah. What's your thought?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that you're saying. I think it is an emotional maturity thing. And it's also like, it's hard with people like this because it kind of becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy in some sense, because like he very early on kind of started saying like, oh, no one in the tribe likes me. I'm an outcast. People don't laugh or like, react when I open a coconut or whatever. And it's like, when you start telling yourself that, you start looking for, other like moments of people ignoring you or like just focusing on another person or whatever. And then that kind of, when you're like focusing on yourself and you're not, I don't know, it just becomes so stressful. And yeah, you're not going to be a super bubbly person or like a nice person to be around when you're so like stressed and overanalyzing everything that you're doing and everything that everyone else is doing. So it kind of, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you start telling yourself that no one likes you and then it kind of makes you less likable.
Sure.
And so, I think that's something that I hope that he's, able to learn and grow. I mean, we're always all learning and growing, but hopefully he can kind of learn and continue to grow from that.
As Reliant K once said, fix the car, fix the house, fix the flaws in myself. It never ends. It's like local construction. It just never ends. It really feels like I'm always working on the car. The house always needs something, and myself, like no matter how old I get, there's like it's just, could we just like no, apparently not. Can't just not be just nope. That's why we need Jesus, Rebekah. That's why we need Jesus. All right. So anyways, the whole thing. It's the whole thing, Rebekah. All right.
It is. It is a whole thing.
The thing with Andy, though, my point was that I feel like he's very emotionally insecure. I mean, we kind of get that next week in Annika jokes that he's like a toxic, clingy boyfriend. It's one of those things I hope that after Survivor, he learns to how to grow. I don't know how to say this nicely. Grow out of. Mature. I mean, mature is the word. And I'm not like trying to attack the dude because it's not a choice. It's usually it's something, I mean, I don't know.
And I think like Survivor has this like special, I don't know, quality or whatever of just like drawing out like the things that you need to work on as a person, and for better or for worse, like it can draw out your best strengths or it can draw out your weaknesses. And I don't know, I guess that's the risk that you run by going on national TV and being on this show, but it can also be a really cool thing. I mean, we've seen people, grow and like, just become stronger and better versions of themselves on this show. So hopefully that happens for Andy.
Like, I don't need to go on Survivor to know that I am a first boot / final 3 goat waiting to happen. I do, like, I will go on there, and when it happens, I'm like, is it a self-fulfilling prophecy, or did I already know myself well enough? Rebekah, we're going to get it on a little side tangent. Welcome to the podcast. This is our 9th season podcasting, so this is not new for those long time here, but quick little tangent. This is related, I think, maybe. So I was playing Exploding Kittens, the card game,
sure,
a few weeks ago, and I will not name names, but I realized as I was playing this casual card game of Exploding Kittens that I am just naturally antagonistic when playing games. Like, especially, like, I'll play it cool for a while, but when I know I've got it in the bag, like, there's just no way. And I play up the villain role, basically, the survivor villain role, like the Johnny Fairplay.
Ooh,
I play up the villain role, and it's not appreciated, I've noticed, outside of reality TV. And it's just, by the way, this is a lifelong thing. This is not like, because I've been watching Survivor. I just realized, like, I noticed that when I think I'm going to win, or when I know I got it in the bag, I lean into the villain role really hard for fun. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like, I'm not like, it's just like, this is really fun to be antagonistic. It did not go over well at all. And I'm going to kind of leave it at that for the most part, but it did not go over well. And Mary and I had to talk. I'm like, okay, I promise from now on to not go full villain when playing games with other people. I will try to just be chill, because unless I'm playing with a group of guys, and that's not, the antagonism is not usually appreciated. So anyways, my point is that I did not need to go on Survivor to learn that about myself. I just need to play Exploding Kittens.
But if you do go on Survivor, I do think that we are due for another villain of Johnny Fairplay level.
Oh,
like, I would love to see that. So if you
Johnny Fairplay is the first name that came to mind. I'm not saying I was anything like Fairplay. I'm just saying first name came to mind in terms of just naturally antagonistic to be the villain for the fun of it. I think Fairplay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, 1,000%.
For the fun of it. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, well, I win off this. No. Is it fun
but
to do?
It will make great TV. Yeah. And it will make great TV.
I don't think New Era wants that, though. I don't think New Era wants a villain of that.
I don't think they do.
Who plays like that. So that would be the ultimate villainous act, to sneak onto the show by fooling casting into thinking I'm just another one of the people here on the show that you're looking for. I fit one of the preconceived notions that they're looking for when they cast people. And then I get on and I go full villain in confessionals, because I'm not going to do that in person.
Right.
Not until I know I got it in the bag. We get to episode 11 of 13. I'm like, time to go full villain. I'm like, I've got this in the bag.
Everyone on the island is like, what happened? Like, what flipped
when
this
did Wesley get so antagonistic? Like, okay, we're on this tangent still, whatever. Troyzan in One World, when he wins immunity and tells all of the women, this is my island, don't screw with me, I own this island. That is me playing Exploding Kittens and other board games, card games, whatever. Minus the cursing at people. He wasn't he wasn't cursing them out, he's just cursing it in general sense. But yes, definitely like claiming this is his island, pumping his chest, getting really excited about it. That is not just when I win an immunity challenge, All right. So anyways, that's the end of that side tangent. I don't need to go on Survivor to know that. So I hope Andy can learn. Let's just circle back and try to make it relate. I hope Andy learns how to grow out of this, how to go past this, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyways, all right. Let's get back into things that matter. People are like, that was a long tangent. Rome lift you. Okay, we already talked about Rome. He gets caught, but we kind of like cliffhang, almost like a movie in terms of like, did no one address him? Did he act weird when he got back to camp? I don't know. We just kind of like, he gets caught looking, and that's the end of that scene. We go to the immunity challenge. So we'll find out next time, I guess.
I feel like it wasn't super relevant in this episode because they didn't go to tribal.
No, they won easily.
Yeah, as soon as they go to tribal, that's going to come up.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be shocked if it doesn't.
Well, maybe Red's our dominant tribe, where they're like the the Bello or Reba or whatever tribe, whatever the tribe is that never loses.
Yes.
That could be them. So maybe it never matters until the merge, when they're like, Rome has something. We know we caught him back in episode 1. All right. So immunity challenge, Rebekah. Can you tell us about this super original, never before seen immunity challenge?
Yes, absolutely. So everybody starts in the water on a platform. They have to jump into the water, swim to a boat. Your whole tribe has to be on the boat before you can start paddling. And then as you're paddling to shore, you have to gather 3 heavy chests. And I will say, I loved the chaos of this challenge, specifically this part in the challenge, because what was it? The blue and the yellow tribes just like flipped their boat. I think it was when they were getting the second chest. Just flipped their boat, like paddles floating everywhere, chests floating, people float. Like it was so chaotic, and I'm here for it. Even Jeff was like, this is like y'all are doing bad.
They knew what they were doing when they designed this challenge, though. They knew what they were doing. Yeah. The 3 heavy chests in this small boat where 6 people kind of look like they're cramped. I mean, and I say they know what they're doing in terms of like production knew this was going to happen. This was kind of the idea.
Right. But I mean, the Red Tribe did it with no problem. Like they just breezed. Yeah, I mean, at least in the edit.
The Red Tribe also
super easy.
Solomon single-handedly carrying like
That's true.
Their tribes, like even TK gets getting help from Kyle. Solomon was single-handedly. And by the way, I want to point out that if you notice when Red Tribe gets to the beach, they're kind of like worn out. And I'm like, what do you, I'm like, Solomon told. Anyways, they get to the beach. It's like clearly they're waiting on Solomon to lead them on going through the net. I just want to point that out. It was kind of like breezed over because Red's not really relevant in the challenge because they just win it easily. But yeah, if you watch again, it's like definitely look like they're waiting on Solomon to lead them because dude beasted that challenge for them. Though it was not focused on at all.
1000%. Yeah. Yeah. And I thought it was smart too because just to continue like explaining the challenge. So once you hit the beach, they had to do the whole, dragging the boat with the chest on it up the beach under a rope. And then at the end, unlocking the chests, getting the puzzle pieces out of the chest and doing a puzzle. So yeah, this challenge also ends in a puzzle like we mentioned earlier. I did like that. I think every tribe did this where when they got to the beach, they took the boxes off of the chests off of the boats and then dragged the boats up the hill. Cause there's always that like immediate incline. And I feel like in past challenges when we've done this, like they've just dragged the boat with all the boxes on it up that incline. And it's always like such a struggle. So I don't know, small thing, but yeah, I thought that was smart that everybody like got up the incline and then put the chest back on the boat and then did the rope obstacle. So yeah, that was smart. And then, yeah, like we said, Red won super easily. This was when, Yellow was, they ended up losing. Andy, like, I don't know. I'm curious what you thought of this moment because Andy like laid down in the shade while they were doing the puzzle. Like he wasn't on the puzzle, but like while his tribe was doing the puzzle, he laid down in the shade. And like, I'm sure he was tired, like, whatever, but it definitely felt like he was trying to quit.
Yes.
To me. Because as soon as Jeff came over and checked on him and he was like, bring me everything, Jeff, I need everything. And he was overheating. I get it. Like I've overheated before. Like it's scary.
Really
you start panicking. Yeah. Yes, I get it. But as they're like starting to cool him down, and Jeff comes over and like checks on him and stuff, he's like, I gave it everything I had. Like, they were going to vote me out tonight and everything. And Jeff's like, you're still in the game, my
he's
guy.
Talking past tense.
Like, yeah. And even after Jeff like kept saying like, you're still in the game. Like the game's not over yet. You never know what's going to happen until, everyone votes at tribal. But he just kept talking in past tense. So I don't know. I felt like he was kind of trying to quit, but yeah, I don't know. I'm sure, like, I'm not saying he was lying about being overheated. I'm sure he was.
No, he was definitely overheated. I thought Jeff was 10 out of 10 on keeping the challenge going, by the way, while also having medical checkups. Because in the past, definitely everything would have been shut down to go check on Andy. But Jeff's like, I don't know, Andy's talking pretty coherently. So I feel like Jeff made the right call here. Like, Andy seems to be pretty fine, but I'll have medical check on him to be safe because, we don't need to be having a medical evacuation over not checking on him. So anyways, Andy's definitely talking past tense. So I cannot speak medically in terms of like, what was happening to him, does that affect the way he was thinking? I don't know. But it was definitely speaking in a way of like, I'm out of here. I'm done. I know I'm done. I mean, and we saw that again when Yellow ends up losing the immunity challenge. And Andy speaks to Jeff and everyone in front of everyone, all 18 people. Yeah. Talk about tanking people's initial impressions of you. If they have an initial impression from the air tribes there, that would be mine. I'd be like, can't trust Andy. Especially, by the way, when the Yellow or when the air tribes see who comes to the next challenge, like, oh, John's gone. Andy threw him under the bus.
Yep. Yeah.
And they listen to Andy too. I mean, that would be my assumption if I was on Blue or Red. I'd be like, oh my gosh.
Like, what happened?
What did Lulu do? All right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Straight up, dude, I feel like, that's not Gata. That's Lulu.
Yeah.
What's Lulu doing? I'm just like saying the wrong tribe name all season. Producers be like, that's Gata. I'm like,
same vibes, honestly.
I know Lulu when I see it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I don't know what's up with the Yellow tribes being a mess. I mean, even Gabler's on the Yellow tribe, by the way. And Gabler was a mess pre-season. I mean, pre-merge.
Yeah.
Pre-merge. So, and Sammy was 19 on that tribe.
Oh,
yep.
Is he still 19 or?
I mean, isn't he infinitely 19? Even when he actually turns 22,
so.
He's still 19. So
yeah, I think legally.
I know we're gonna get comments asking what's the running joke this season. It'll come at some point. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah. We didn't get a Jelensky in this first episode, but there will be.
Jelensky
something.
wasn't even the running joke last season, was it? I forgot.
Well, the 40 several thing, like the I don't know.
Was several of the running.
Was that
joke?
I feel like there were a bunch of
45.
Jokes last season.
It was definitely Krishma, or sorry, not Krishma. What's her name? She hated Bruce.
Oh, Katura hated Bruce.
Yeah.
Yes.
Krishma. And then the season before that, Claire would sit out of every challenge, and then before that, Sammy's 19. Yes. So like, I forgot what last season was. Somebody will remind me. Anyway, so.
There were a few. Big Mistake was a big one.
Oh, it was definitely Big Mistake. And it was Liz and her fat sacks of cash. Duh. As if we didn't do the whole sponsorship for her and everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. How can we forget about fat stacks of cash?
We forgot about, I think we got to give her a refund for that $0 that she paid us for the sponsorship.
By the way, anyone wondering, so we had the finale last season. She was the sponsorship for it. I emailed her the finale podcast and she did not respond to it until about a week or two ago. And it was a funny response, but it's like kind of like Liz went off the grid for a few months. Not that Liz was so mad. It wasn't like a Liz was so mad. It was definitely like Liz was off the grid. That's what it seemed like when I read it. So.
Which is like honestly fair enough. I get it.
Probably needed the mental break. Right.
Yeah.
Frankly.
But now she's, I assume, a huge fan of this podcast and will listen every week? ?
Okay, so
moving on.
Andy has that. I have no idea. Andy has that whole thing in front of everybody, and I'm just like, all right, Andy's done, right? Andy's a goner. Yeah. So we go back to camp. Andy tells John he wants Aycha out. Sam says, no way is he voting Aycha. So at that point, I'm like, all right, so Anika's not happening when Sam says that. So that means Andy's gone. That's how I feel. I'm like, there's no way it's John. John's the fake thing. John, they're just setting us up. That's fake. That's fake because they have to pretend that they always do that. They have to pretend that there's really two options when there's always one. I mean, not always, but usually it's like, it's Andy, right?
Yeah.
No. What?
I will say, I think it was at this point where I was like, John has been getting so much focus this episode. Like he narrated so much of this episode and we got to hear his perspective all the time. So it was like either they're giving him a bunch of screen time because like they liked him and he's only in this one episode, or he's going to be like really important. And it ended up being the former. So what do you know?
Yeah. Well, he also got the name of the episode, which was like One Glorious and Perfect Episode, which I think is a reference.
Yes.
I forgot. Somebody mentioned that had to be coming out of John's mouth because I think he says that One Perfect and Glorious, something else. Maybe podcast or something. I forgot what he said. Apparently that's not a new thing coming out of his mouth. Next week is called Epic Girl Boss Move. And let me tell you, just a terrible title for an episode.
Yeah.
Just not
that's rough.
The title I would pick out of everything. All right. So I saw that title. I was like, needs work. D- needs work. All right. This one made sense, especially considering this tribe goes and he's the one that gets voted off. Like in retrospect, spoiler alert, but it worked out. So I can't believe. So we got the tribal set, super cool. I didn't take any notes during tribal because nothing seemed relevant, and even in retrospect, nothing really seemed relevant. Yeah. So John's voted off 5-1.
The only thing that I wrote down was Sierra like kind of pointing out that Aycha was like the leader of the tribe, which I thought was weird because it seemed like the two of them were really close throughout the episode. Like they're in an alliance and stuff. Sure. So then it did seem like kind of weird to be in front of, the whole tribe, like, oh, you're the leader, but I don't know. Yeah, it didn't seem like super, it didn't have any consequences this episode. We'll see if it comes up later.
I think also Aycha knows, she was literally leading them on the sprouting coconut and then the building it didn't seem like nobody was like, what, Aycha? So.
Right.
Yeah. We did hear, though we did not see necessarily, that Sam and Sierra are close. And I'm like, makes sense. They're like the two attractive people on the tribe. Like,
sure.
Like, yep. And by attractive, I mean conventionally attractive. I know somebody's going to jump in and be like, well, actually, John was the most attractive to me. Well, actually, I meant conventionally attractive Sam and Sierra, just like, obviously. So it almost seemed like a cliche. I don't know if that's saying anything too much. All right. So We get so I'll tell you my theory on why I think John's gone. John's 41 and everyone in his tribe is in their 20s and Andy acts like he's in his 20s. And I'm not taking shots here. I'm just saying I think that he had a hurdle he had like Sue has that as well. She has to get in good because she is also an outlier in her tribe. She's 59, I believe. Even though she has had plastic surgery to try to look younger, she is still like she's clearly older. Like it's not like she's too old to be getting away with like Jeff looks younger than he is because of plastic surgery. But Jeff is now at the point of no return where it's like you can tell Jeff's older. Like it's impossible not to notice Jeff's in his like if somebody told me Jeff is in his 50s, I'd be like sure. But like I know for a fact Jeff's actually in his 60s. That's the effect of plastic surgery. My point is that Sue is beyond she's not 30 something and she can look 20 something with plastic surgery. No, Sue is an outlier. So she has to do extra work. It seems like she's doing okay at the moment. Then again, if Yella didn't go tribal, I probably would think John was doing okay. What do I know? Is anyone on the red tribe old?
On the red?
I mean, you have the wiki if you have it in front of you.
Oh, I don't have it in front of me actually.
If you could whip that up and let me know. But yeah,
sure.
So the point being is that there's always like I feel like the age gap. I'm not saying that was everything. In fact, I want to go over I went to the Pod Save America YouTube, pulled up their most recent podcast, pulled up the comments by newest because I knew that's where people would go to either compliment or diss on John. So you ready for the duality of man?
I'm so ready.
I only get one comment for each. All right, so here's the positive. John, you were by far the best contestant on Survivor tonight. You were consistently funny and smart, and you were considerate and understanding when the guy who had the meltdown threw you under the bus. You came across really well. Kudos. Clapping emoji, clapping emoji, clapping emoji. All right, so that's the positive. Here's the negative. So happy to see John Lovett be the first voted off Survivor. Even his fellow competitors know an establishment stooge when they see one. Good riddance. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Oh, the duality of man. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
I wonder if John bringing up that he is a famous podcaster, and by famous, I mean more famous than anyone else there. I mean,
Aycha, that's true.
Aycha's a podcaster, but like, I gotta be frank with you. I haven't listened to Rebekah's podcast. I used to listen to like almost all, like every one they did in a week, and it's too much. For me to do anymore. But I used to listen. So Aycha to me even is like kind of a deep cut. Like if it was Rob, of course, if it was Taryn, I understand Rebekah. You may not know any of these names. Let me know if you do.
Yeah.
Taryn is like not a deep cut on Rob's podcast. Taryn was on there. People would know who Taryn is. Chappelle at this point, maybe he would be known. There's a few names on there. It's like immediately Puya, you would know. But like Aycha, I had to like look up whether Aycha was on Rob's podcast I did not know. So she is definitely a deep cut. It's not like John Lovett, who is well known for being a speechwriter / podcaster, is actually like, I think he's like one of the, I think maybe it's like an equal trio of podcasters. Like Aycha's just one of the people who is on Rob as a podcast. She is not like Rob's right hand woman or anything. So anyways, go ahead.
Right.
You're going to say something.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say, in terms of age, so on the Red Tribe, Solomon is 42.
There you go.
Which is not like crazy, but yeah, he's definitely
same as John
on that
same
tribe.
as John.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is everyone else on Red early 30s or 20s?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Yeah.
What's like the next
31.
oldest? 31?
Let's see. Yeah, on that tribe, I think 31.
What's the second oldest on Blue?
On Blue, looks like TK is 31.
Okay. So are we not hearing this? Is Andy the second oldest?
And Kyle is 31.
Okay. Is the second oldest on, by the way, explains why TK and Kyle immediately connected. On the Yellow Tribe, is Andy the second oldest?
Yeah, Andy is 31.
All right. So everyone, can you not hear? Yes. So we pitched diversity on Survivor, but then I hear these ages. The second oldest in every tribe's 31. That's.
Oh, Genevieve on Red, she's 32.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know technically that is months apart from 31, but be real, people.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
I mean, 31, 32 is the second oldest.
Struck me as younger than that. I would have said like mid-20s.
Why aren't all the...
What do I know?
There's just like Sue, Solomon, and John right out the gate. Gotta uphill battle to fight on the age.
And they didn't even put them on the same tribe.
Well, that would have been unfair to the tribe.
Yeah, I guess.
We've never seen the young versus old work out in the favor of the old in Survivor. So.
Yeah, that's true.
In terms of when they split them up like that. So, alrighty. Yeah. Well, next week in Survivor, Annika calls Andy a toxic boyfriend, and Sam is shocked by something Andy says in terms of like, I don't know if that's like a legit shock or a Survivor. We just want you to tune in next week's shock. We'll find out.
Right.
Maybe Andy dropped some like, I don't know. Like he had to remember, he's like, I had to come out to my girlfriend. That was kind of weird. And I'm like, yeah, you think it's something you would have said before you asked her out, huh? Anyways.
Yeah, well.
Do you have anything else about the episode proper before we move on?
No, I think we covered it.
All right, well, let's do this. This is the new segment this season, Fantasy Team Time. Maybe I'll come up with a better name than that. This is about our fantasy league. By the way, you can still join. It is never too late. It's actually factually never too late. You can join almost any week. You just missed out on the first week of points. But as we said earlier, I was like middle of the pack last season. I ended up winning. So anyway, all right. So Fantasy Team Time. How are our teams doing? I wrote down how to play, prize. Oh, okay. Well, how our teams are doing, I don't know yet because the website hasn't updated because the episode just aired. So Mary and I will tomorrow on the Winter Announced podcast, I'll put up the standings as to where everyone stands. Because Rebekah, our team, as you know, you found out the hard way. Our group got so full, we actually exceeded the limits of what a group is allowed to have on the website in terms of how many people can have their fantasy team for Survivor. So I had to make a second group. And so how that'll work is obviously whoever gets the most points just period wins. Like the group doesn't matter because you get to pick whoever you want to be the winner. You get to vote. The fact there's even a limit on the group. And I asked the website about it. I'm like, hey, like next season, could we like get rid of the group limit? I don't know if that's like a technical thing or what, because I'm like, I would love to have a group larger than 50. The 50 is the limit. So we'll see if that gets changed for next season. If not, we'll be better prepared. I did not know I was going to have to make a second group, maybe a third group at the rate we're going. Second group's already filling up. So I will make as many groups as necessary. There's no limit, truly no limit. So anyways, how are our teams doing? I don't know, but I will ask Rebekah on that, on the fantasy team. Who did you pick as your winner pick?
I picked sort of just based on vibes. I'm going to be honest.
What else you can pick on preseason?
Yes. And I also, I should preface this by saying I don't watch a ton of stuff preseason. I don't know. I kind of like just going into the season and like just analyzing like what's in the show and not like all the other stuff. So just based on nothing, I picked Genevieve. And then she got like no screen time this episode. So that might be changing. We'll see.
I like Genevieve's name. So I remember when you showed me originally, you had picked Rachel and did you switch it later?
No. So I had picked for the Sole Survivor, I picked Genevieve, but I was a little confused, to be honest, by how the draft was working.
Okay, yeah.
But for the draft, Rachel was my first pick, and then Sam was that was like for who I'm getting points from. Yeah. And I feel way better about the two of them, to be honest. I'm probably going to switch to one of them after this, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. So for my winner pick, I picked Solomon because I really liked his preseason quote about how he's living life as if he already had a near-death experience, but he's never had one. As far as I'm aware, that's what he said. So I was like, that's really good. Also, he's a bit older. I know he's outside the age range, the ideal 25 to 35. But I picked Kenzie last season. And I mean, like, talk about luck. I also picked Bonu, so what do I know? I got lucky last season on the Kenzie pick. Really, she pulled through at the end for me, man.
It's a wild pairing.
It was I leaned both. This season, I think I tried to split my team. I don't know who I got on my team yet because the draft happens. You like put your priority in who you want and then it drafts it for you. So I don't know who's actually on my team, but my winner picked Solomon. He didn't really get content tonight, so I didn't feel too good about that. So we'll see. We'll see where the standings are tomorrow on the winter analysis episode with Mary. So yeah. I want to point out that first place for the fantasy group, or probably just at the beginning, whatever. First place gets to pick a story video for any player that's ever played in US Survivor. Whoever wins, you just tell me who you want and I will make it. Doesn't matter. As long as you're not the winner on the winning season. That I'm trying to do chronologically. Outside of that, anybody from any season, you can pick a first boot. You can pick somebody nobody liked. You can pick Liz.
Could I pick Hannah, the therapist?
You could. I think
it'd be a short video.
You'd be wasting your time, but you could. Totally could. So it's up to you. I mean, if somebody else pick a first boot, that's on. People joke about it. I'm like, I mean, if you're the one, like, Sure, I'll do it. Like, you're the one that either paid.
I won't be happy about it, but I'll do it.
You're either the one that paid for it, or you're spending. Like, you won the league and you want to spend it on. All right, that's up to you, man. So I'll do it. I'm not gonna stop you. I said it. I'll do it. The other thing is Castaways, the social deduction game based on Survivor, but definitely not officially licensed by Survivor, has graciously offered first and second place get their game for free. So first place gets a story video made by me and the Castaways game, which have pictures on screen if I'm smart and I remember to put them here, of what that is. But basically it's so you can play Survivor at home with other people. I mean, that's how it works. And I talked about during 45. Second place just gets that as a prize. Second place wasn't even going to have a prize. And Castaways was nice enough to offer that. I did not ask them. They offered. That's how cool they are. So
that's so cool.
Yep. They listen to the podcast. That's really cool. So, all right. That is
shout out.
Yeah. Big shout out. Rebecca's like, I don't even have that game.
I know. Yeah. Am I eligible for this now? Can I win?
No, Rebecca, you cannot. Hint, wink, wink. Oh, man. You just hint, wink, wink to the Castaways guy. Maybe he'll send you one. All right.
There you go.
He lives in South Africa, by the way. Like legit. Oh, cool. That's legit. All right. So let's move on to the next section of the podcast. What's new on Patreon? Well, of course, if you're on Patreon, you can join the fantasy league that we just talked about. That's the big one. Link in the description, of course. Right now, until the 5th anniversary of this channel actually happens on the 21st, believe it or not, 5th anniversary on the 21st.
Oh, wow.
I believe it's Saturday.
That's exciting.
It's definitely a number that happened in my life. People are voting on which season I'm going to do story videos about next. That's happening right now on Patreon. Right now, it's a tie between Kai Gayan, Millennials versus Gen X, and Dave versus Goliath, if I recall correctly. That's the current tie. There's like 2 or 3 days left on that vote. And of course, the One World videos, I am trying to speed through. I mean, like, I'm trying to speed through them. I'm so sorry that this is a season I had to cover because I'm doing it chronologically, but they're happening. I have 3 out of the 4 done. I just got to do Kim's. Those are on Patreon as well. Hopefully we'll get the sooner the better, get those done. You know what I mean? To move on to a better season. All right. It's like sometimes just suffering to watch like episodes from the same season over and over. And this is definitely one of those seasons where I feel like I'm suffering a little bit. All right. Let's move on to question of the week. Now, last season, we didn't keep track of score, or we did. And then I crushed you so bad that we stopped keeping track. I forgot. This season, Rebekah, I want you to keep track of score from the beginning. Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Thank you. All right. Well,
absolutely.
Do you want to start with your question to stump me, or should I give you a question to stump you?
Sure.
First?
Yeah, I will start with my question. And I hope that this is a hard question, but I guess we'll find out.
Stomp me.
Okay. So, which of the 4 seasons of the show have the fewest people voted out during the tribal phase of the game?
The pre-merge.
During the tribal phase of, no, not pre-merge, during the tribal phase of the game, with 4 people voted out.
But tribal is pre-merge, Rebekah. Okay.
Is it?
I don't like the way this is going. Is there any options or hints at all on this one?
I will give you a hint that this might, I don't know, this may be too much of a hint. I will give you a hint that 3 of the 4 seasons are back to back.
Okay. That's not as much of a hint as maybe you thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Ooh, gosh. So only 4 people are voted off. That was probably my biggest hint, if anything.
Yes.
So clearly medical evacuations would come into play, I would assume. How else did we not get more vote outs? I don't think, is One World? One World can't be one of them because I don't believe Philippines, and then I'm trying to think of surrounding seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Son of
to
a
clarify,
gun.
also, so there's 4 total seasons.
Yeah.
3 of them are chronological right next to each
so
other.
Saying
the 4th one is
One World
unrelated.
was one of them. Then
just to clarify,
because One World has to be one of them because there's 2 medical evacuations in it. They only vote off somebody in episodes. So I'm correct. There's only episodes.
There's vote off in
episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, and Courtney's out in episode 1 on a medical evacuation. Colton's out in episode 6. So now who the heck else has only 4
great.
vote
I don't know. How do you remember the name of the first, Courtney's name? How do you remember
3
that?
seconds
That's crazy.
ago, Rebekah, when we talked about what's new on Patreon, I just said that I'm immersed.
I am
You've been
watching
One World
over and
currently to the suffering of myself.
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, you're going to get that one for sure.
Well, yeah, One World's, that's the only reason I know that one off the top of my head, because I'm currently working on the story videos. Man, there are 3 seasons. They're all chronological. Actually, I don't know.
Yes. Okay. It's also, again.
How about this? Is it?
Yes.
Are they all under 20 or are they all over 20?
They're all over 20.
Oh, geez, Louise. No, I don't know. Go ahead. What is it?
Okay. So the only other hint I could give you is just going to tell you what it is, because it was during the tribal phase of the game. So like the mergatory doesn't count towards that.
What?
So that means that 44, 45, 46 are the three where, because in 44, Bruce was evacuated and Matthew had his like shoulder dislocated thing.
Good call.
So there were 4 people voted out, and then Josh was voted out like before the merge, but it was the mergatory thing. And then same thing for 45.
45.
Hannah quit.
Sean quit. Okay.
Yeah.
Hannah quit. The principal who's leading children and the therapist who's supposed to help people do better in life.
Well, Sean technically was voted out, at least according to the Survivor Wiki. So I don't know what it was.
How is that only
show,
4 votes then?
So it was Brandon was voted out, Sabaya, Sean, and Brando.
Oh.
And then Jay Maya was voted out at the mergatory.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And then 46.
And then
who was gone
46
earlier?
was Jelinski, Jess. Randon was evacuated, which I had forgotten about that.
I forgot all about that, yeah.
And then Banu, and then Jim.
It was 6 months ago in our lives, and I already forgot about Brandon.
Yeah.
One time, this is going to be a little bit random. One time, Dominic Abate from Ghost Island tweeted out to Survivor Production that they should cast, I forgot his name, but he was the first boot of Island of the Idols. And this was around the time of 41. And I tweeted back, I'm like, is this a late April Fool's joke, or did you not know this guy's already been on the show? And he then deleted his tweet. So I believe Dominic Abate got tricked somehow by someone, or something happened where he thought that the first boot of Island of the Idols hadn't been on the show yet, and he was trying to get him on the show. But I thought it was funny because I'm like, it's on the show like 2 years ago. It's like am I missing? Is this a joke I didn't get?
Congratulations, you got your wish, I guess.
Kind of a weird. He's the first boot too. So I was like, is this a joke about how he's forgettable? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was a joke because they both play poker, and maybe they play poker together, and that was like I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying like, I got Dominic Abate. I'm saying what happened. I don't get it.
Yeah, sometimes I think like certain jokes or like people's sense of humor doesn't like translate to the internet super well.
And I'm saying maybe they're friends outside. They were playing poker at the time. I don't know. I just thought it was like a weird thing, and I tweeted that like hoping like for a legit response. It said the tweet got deleted, and I'm like, okay, what happened?
That's so funny.
Anyways, all right. My question for you is, and I understand why the heck would you know this? So I have multiple choice. All right. Who says in season 1, episode 8, that everyone has a sob story and that they do not care? Your options are Jervis of the Pagong tribe, Kelly of Toggy, Colleen of Pagong, or Richard Hatch of Toggy. I understand that you probably have zero idea. That's why I give you multiple choice.
Yeah, I do have zero idea. And also, like, man, I think I've seen season 1 like once, like years ago.
That's okay. I just recently rewatched it to do Kelly Wigglesworth's story video. Again, this is why I know some of this stuff.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just going to guess, was it Hatch?
No, it's a good guess though.
No?
It was Colleen, actually, the one who's super nice and America loved at the time. They're like, oh, America's sweetheart, Colleen. She's like, we're all here for the money. Everyone has a sob story, and I'm not going to sit here and weigh whose sob story is more sobby than the other one. And by the way, I'm paraphrasing. That's almost like word for word what she said though. And I was like, hilarious how in season 1, everyone has a sob story and the editors are basically leaving that in to let you know they do not care. Of course, that will change over time, but all right. Next part of this podcast would be TV ratings, but we can't keep track. So I guess neither you nor myself are correct. So both get 0 points on the question of the week.
Yes. I wrote that down.
Good call.
0 points for big old goose egg for both of us.
Good. TV ratings, irrelevant. We cannot talk about TV ratings at the moment because we don't know until next week. All right. So we'll skip that for now, but we will do it again this season. Winner analysis. We're supposed to do our top 3, Rebekah, and I'll let you know. I am filling that in as we speak. So who is your number 3, Rebekah? By the way, I'll be doing a more full one with Mary tomorrow. We'll go way more in depth, but tonight's just Rebekah and I's top 3 Wednesday night. All right. So who's your number 3?
Yeah. Great question. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who are kind of in similar positions right now. There's a lot of people that I feel like not great about, but like fine about, you know?
Sure.
So I picked 3 of my favorites.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Aycha as number 1.
Well, hold on.
I guess I'm starting.
Oh, Rebekah, you're doing this all wrong.
Should I start with number 3?
Yes. You ruined the surprise. All right.
Okay, I'll take.
No,
do you want me to? I'll do it again. I'll start with 3.
Forget it. You already did it. What's your 1, 2, and 3? Go for it.
Okay. Aycha is number 1.
All right.
Because I think she's just in a really good alliance, and she does know the game really well. And if that remains a secret, if people don't know that she knows the game really well, she's in a good spot.
She's the guy that thinks you're the guy that thinks I'm the guy. What was that thing from what was it? Tropic Thunder. I'm the dude dressed as a dude playing another. Or I forgot how he said it. I'm butchering it, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
yes, Aycha's your number 1, and you love Aycha.
So
she's very smart.
Yes, number 1. Sam is going to be my number 2 because I think I like his strategy of like not being noticed until we get to the end game and he's stabbing you in the back. I think that's smart. And then number 3 is going to be Teeny because I don't know, good vibes, seems likable. No big red flags yet. I don't know. I do think that's probably the biggest one I'm debating because I feel like I don't love the music of like every time Teeny is talking, there's like humorous music in the background. But in terms of like how the tribe feels, I don't know, it feels like a good spot to be in. But anyway, what are your top 3?
The same as yours, but in reverse order.
Oh, amazing.
To be fair, I had 1 and 2 written down before you said a word. So my number 3 is Aycha. Who's your number 1? My number 2 is Sam, so we're on the same page. My number 1 is Teeny, and your number 3 is Teeny.
Amazing.
So I will say the moment you said Aycha, I was like, you know what? That's a really good one. So I put her at number 3. So I will say I stole that one. I was debating between Aycha and Sue, but I was like, long term, Aycha. Sue's too old. Yeah. And I hate to say it like that.
I could see Sue being like
current day Survivor.
I could see Sue being kind of like a Mama J type, like getting, close to the end, but just not. I don't
You
see
have
her
to go full alligator to be an old person to win at this point. There's no other way. If you full alligator.
It's true.
Well, I don't want to get too much in winter analysis because I'm with you. It's like, but Teeny, so I guess the reason why I'm high on Teeny is Teeny seemed like she was making good connections with a lot of people. Rome's the one clearly in the outs. Rome, he's roaming around the world. Rome, if you want to. He took the lyrics seriously. He's doing that. So definitely, Teeny's a much better spot than him. Teeny, I don't know about the whole talking about like revealing to Aycha that she's on Rob as a podcast. Not sure about that approach because the moment I heard that come out of Teeny's mouth, if I was in Aycha's spot, I'd be like, Teeny's got to go. She knows too much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, it is like, it's a good like early connection, but you are right. It could turn around and not be good once they go to tribal. But I don't know. I see that 4 sticking together at least for a couple tribals, but then we'll see what happens.
Never in 1,000 years would I tell anyone what my actual Survivor strategy would be here on the podcast we're going on. I just want to throw that out there. So when I say that and you're on the island with me, don't take this as gospel. I'm saying when I heard that come out of Teeny's mouth, that's what I was thinking. If you came and told that to me and we're on the same tribe, just saying for future season reference, don't be like, Wes is going to want to vote me out now. That's not true. Okay? Just don't think that. Now, is it true? Different question. I just don't want you to think it's true.
I love that you're already like playing mind games with potential future.
They're like, if I tell Wesley, I remember him saying he wouldn't, but then he what? That's what I want you to think.
Hold on.
Yeah. I'm confused.
It's like all the people, all the former Survivor players right now who are like forming season 50 alliances and all that.
Guys,
like,
anytime Survivor Instagram, not Facebook, you on Facebook, it's a whole different group of people. On Instagram, they post something. Look at the comments, you'll see so many, like it's always existed where some Survivor players will be like, yay, to everything Survivor posts. But it has become, ever since Jeff said 50's returning season, it has become so blatant how many Survivor players are now pulling an Andy, pulling a Bonu, and stroking the ego of Survivor production. They know how the game works.
Fair enough. Yeah. If it's going to mean that like some classic, like heavy hitters on Survivor are going to play again, like I'm all in.
I want to throw it out there. Adam of Winners at War and Millennials vs. Jackson. Remember how he angered Jeff last season or 2 seasons ago by announcing that a few people got on the show? Well, ever since Jeff just put him on complete blast, again, Survivor 45's, this time Survivor 45 Secrets video, if you want all the details on Jeff putting Adam specifically on blast, for saying they help people get on the show. Adam kind of went quiet on that front. And then today posted that he has helped people get on, and I cannot name all the shows because I forget. It was like 10 different shows. He's like, including 11 people on Survivor. And I was like,
11 people? Oh my goodness.
Don't actually me if I'm wrong on the number. I read this earlier. I do not have it written down in front of me, but it was so many shows. And I want to say he said he got 11 people on Survivor over the years. Amazing. And I'm like, I only know about 3. Adam kind of just went quiet. And he's probably telling his people like, hey, shut your mouth about me, because it's not going to help, because Jeff got so mad. So Adam basically is not publicly announcing who he helped get on, but is like, hey, by the way, he's like,
he's kind of telling on himself.
He's
though.
secretly
That's
flexing.
Crazy.
He's secretly flexing, like not so secretly flexing.
Funny.
He's not gonna say who, but he's helped people go on like Big Brother and like Squid Game, the challenge and stuff like that. Still, those are the only ones I remember off the top of my head, but there's other shows too. And I was like, hey, the Summit, which is that new one they were promoting during Survivor Day.
Oh yeah.
Apparently at least one person on that show got help from Adams. Like Adams hacked hacked casting. And it's a good thing he didn't say name names, because Survivor, like Jeff and Jesse Tannenbaum, who run casting, got so mad during 45. They got so mad that Adam said anything like that. And they're like, I just remember them being so haughty about it. So anyways, I don't know why I went off on that tangent.
They're like, don't listen to Adam. Just show up to our events and like do the casting hut.
Exactly. Like, yes, listen to our Survivor Peach Drop podcast that we posted a couple days ago. It's a joke. The casting hut Rebekah said was a joke.
Oh man, crazy.
Yeah, Rebekah, would you rather get help from Adam, or would you rather go to the casting hut?
I would rather just stay home, to be honest.
No, Rebekah, this is to get on the show. I need you to promote our podcast.
Oh, okay. No, I can make a casting video from home.
Yeah.
I don't need Adam. I don't need casting huts. It's too fancy. It's too much technology.
I think if I was to sneak onto the show, right? Remember that was the strategy from earlier. Sneak on the show to then become antagonistic / a villain. I would need Adam's help, because I'm not sure if I'm able to hide my true intentions from the casting team before I get on. So Adam would have to help me. I would have to hire Adam and be like, all right, Wesley, you're going to want to not do that.
I'm just picturing him like putting you through a fake interrogation to like prepare you. He's got like a spotlight, just like a hot light.
Wesley,
in your face. He's like yelling at you.
Are you going to go on Survivor?
Is your grandma alive?
No, not even that. He's like, do you subscribe do you subscribe to the theory that Jeff and production know everything and that they're perfect and that Survivor's the most perfect show ever? Yes, Adam. Yes, I do. Okay, then you're ready.
All right.
You can't go on Survivor unless you're going to stroke the ego of the show. All right. By the way, I really love Survivor. I really do. I mean, they wouldn't have to pull that one out of me. I would just say that, but to hide my true intention of going full villain would probably be too hard. Like, I don't know. Hopefully that question would never come up during casting, but now that I've said on the podcast, somebody would undoubtedly be like, Wesley said this at one time. So it's okay.
For sure.
I'm not actively worried about it. All right, let's move on to the questions portion of our podcast. Of course, throughout the entire episode, you guys probably came up with questions. And as soon as the episode's done, I ask for your all's questions that Rebekah and I are about to answer. Okay, let's see what I got here. So some people are just talking trash, by the way. Like, let's go. Bye-bye, John. I mean, there's... it got a little
shots fired.
I think it's because John's does political podcasts, if I were to guess. I'm just gonna say. All right, so first question is from Rachel. Do you think John made a mistake telling everyone about his podcast right away, Rebekah?
That's a good question. In some sense, yes. Like, not knowing, because there are a lot of podcasters on this season, so I think that made it less of a red flag just because there's so many. But like, I don't know if he knew that when he was telling people. I did think it was smart that he mentioned that he used to like write speeches, but he didn't tell everybody that it was like for Obama.
Never in my life would I mention that I wrote speeches, though, because that just sounds like dangerous in this game.
It does. I mean, yeah, like someone who wrote speeches is going to be great in a final tribal. So yeah, I probably would have lied about that if I was him.
Dude, just say you're a teacher or whatever the lawyers all said in 45 that they do.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was school teacher.
Say you're a teacher.
That's so funny.
What grade do you teach? You say kindergarten. or first grade.
Yeah.
Where nobody's going to have any questions about
no
that.
Follow-up questions.
Oh, yeah, kindergartens. That's rough, huh?
What's your curriculum?
It's pretty chaotic.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Keep it simple, you know. All right. Question: where can I watch it? Paramount Plus. Though, if you want to watch live, I think you can also watch Paramount Plus. Like I was streaming it through Paramount Plus. Somebody's always going to ask that, and I'll answer it. All right. The Rebel Dog asks, who else died laughing the first 10 minutes when Rome said "big mistake"?
Oh yes, 1,000%. That was like one of my first notes. I was just like, "This is amazing."
Isn't Rome also said that Rome also said he's going to be on the Survivor Mount Rushmore? Wasn't that him?
Oh, was that him? Oh, I don't remember who said that, but yeah, that was also iconic.
I think Rome said that, and then he said the big mistake. I'm like, Rome's channeling all the, and maybe he'll bring up other things people said. I don't know. All right, Joey asks, who do you think will be the first one to reach Bonu's 35 confessionals? That's a good question. I don't have the confessional count in front of me. John got a lot tonight, but of course John's gone, so that's not an option. At the moment, Andy. And it's not just because he's kind of a mess like Bonu, just because I feel like because he is a mess. I mean, I guess it is because he's kind of like a mess. Like, because he's a mess, they're going to want to focus on him because why not? Why would you not want
I think Andy's
that?
the most likely. I could also see maybe Gabe, although he's not like as much of a hot mess, but Gabe, we heard from him a lot tonight.
I'm going to be frank with you. Gabe does not have the charisma to carry 35 confessionals in 4 episodes. Bonu was a hot mess.
Did Bonu though?
Bonu had the crazy mess. I feel like Gabe does not. Gabe got a lot tonight because he was just finding a beware advantage. Gabe wasn't getting it otherwise. Whereas
that's true. He did say he's an old soul.
Rome, I could see getting 35 if he goes on a crazy path.
Ooh, yeah, that's interesting.
I just don't see Gabe. I don't think Gabe has the charisma to get 35 in 4 episodes, which is, by the way, what Bonu did, 35 in 4. All right.
That's so crazy.
I know. Next question is from Real Team Wall. How on earth did Andy survive that? Personal opinion, ageism.
Yeah.
Because all the red flags were there not to keep Andy over John. Yep. John should have been their next vote off, not this vote off, in my opinion, if they were going to really go that route. All right. Silent Storm asks, are the episodes this season 90 minutes or just an hour? They're 90 minutes. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure from here on out, they're going to be 90-minute episodes every season, which, by the way, will be great for the returnee season. That's what we needed for Winners at War.
Yes.
And Heroes versus Villains, but we can't go back in time. So 50, thankfully. I mean, at the rate we're going, it works out. It just works out. They make more money doing it. It works. I think the 90-minute episodes are perfect. I think tonight, 2 hours, I was feeling it a little bit. I was like, like taking too long to do the immunity challenge.
Because last season, what was it? The first 2 episodes were 2 hours. That was brutal. But 90 minutes is such a sweet spot. Yeah. Like, that's going to be so great.
Whenever I recommend 46 to anybody, because it's a good season, I'm like, whenever I recommend 46, I'm like, just know the first 4 episodes, like it's going to be a little rough. Stick with it.
Yep.
It's the same thing I say for Vanuatu, by the way. First 4 episodes, a little rough. Stick with it.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the storytelling even doing in the first 4 episodes? That's how I felt. 46 and in Vanuatu. Vanuatu superior season, by the way. But still, it's like both seasons end up being really good. Man, those first 4 episodes, like the storytelling does not know where to keep its focus at. That's how I felt. So, all right, next question from JJ Mara. Do you think the girls will not regret voting out Andy? Since they voted for strength this time, it seemed like something happens episode 2. Do you think Andy will take some control? That's a good question. Do we think Andy somehow gets a foothold in this tribe now?
I don't know how he gets control in this tribe. Because, like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't have, good... I don't think he has a good relationship with any of the girls. Sam is probably maybe his closest ally at this point, but they're like not close at all. No. Like Sam was not on board with voting with him in this episode.
Sam's like, I am not voting for her.
Yeah. So like, I mean, unless Andy literally like finds an idol, like that's the only thing that I could think. And then he's like, all right, well, I'm voting this way and I have an idol, so it's not going to be me going home. So y'all figure it out, you know? Like, that would be the only thing I could see him doing at this point.
Hopefully I'm saying this right. Ungus Boingus asks, was Jeff right calling it the worst start to any challenge in 47 seasons? No, I'm sure not.
That was so dramatic.
That's just, it's like Jeff's weekly interview with Dalton Ross. It's just fluff, guys. Sometimes Jeff just says stuff. Yeah. You know, he just says stuff.
And I do, because I think like Jeff's purpose in that moment is to egg on the people on the beach.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, he is also narrating for us, like, sure.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think it was more about like him just being like, wow, y'all really need to get it together.
No, the definitely the one that's most iconic to me is when is it the first or second immunity challenge of Gabon? I believe it's the second immunity challenge. Don't quote me. I believe it's the second one where Fong is losing so bad that the elephant dung lady, I forget her name, but she's all with the elephant dung. She's like, yay, come on, Fong. And Jeff's like, just pipe down. He's like, he's like, pipe down. You guys have lost. And I'm like, holy
that's
crap.
So funny.
Jeff told someone to stop cheering for the tribe because that's how bad the tribe is. So
man.
He said you might want to put that. Iconic. He said you might want to put that on ice. If I'm trying to recall exactly what he said, but he's like, you might want to put that on ice, like just the cheering.
Yeah. And I will say, like, as much as Jeff was being dramatic in the episode tonight, I love sassy Jeff, and I'm never going to complain about that. Like, I love him egging people on.
I do appreciate that he still calls the team that loses the losers. Like, he hasn't like found a nice way of saying it. He's like, otherwise known as the losers. That's right.
The losers.
Yeah, just wanted to get that through your heads. All right. Well, I think we've rambled on long enough. I'm sure there was a few too many tangents. I'm sure we'll have a comment complaining about them.
Yes.
Anyways, we've talked long enough. Mary and I will see you on tomorrow's Winter Analysis podcast. As always, you can listen to these early. Should have mentioned that on Patreon. I don't know if I did, but here you are. They're early on Patreon. Okay, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.